Hey, what's up, guys? It's your boy Tiny Grouper back at it again with a brand new Marvel Rivals tier list. So, season 2 is officially being out for like a week as of today, and I've been playing a lot of it. Mostly Emma Frost, I got a lot in like the first weekend or whatever. I know going squad, but I mainly been playing. I tried to play with as much characters as possible. I got buffs and nerfs so I could better figure out where they'd rank in this tier list. But without further ado, let's try and get this out as quick as possible for you guys going into rank, so you guys know who to pick. Obviously, we'll update this as the season go on. But without any further ado, let's hop straight into it. So starting off with the strategist, in alphabetical order, we got our boy Adam Warlock. So Adam Warlock received the nerf with his soul bond going from 30 seconds to 40 seconds, which is a pretty big nerf, seeing as this character has zero mobility, and his soul bond is like one of the few ways, if not the only way, that he could counter against dive. But with some new heroes coming in, some people getting buff, dive is just that much weaker, so it doesn't hurt him as much as it should. All in all, though, still has a pretty clutch ult, still does pretty big healing, and I'd say Adam Warlock still is a good healer. When you get that bond again that on just all five of your teammates, it's just like one of the hypest moments you could get into the fight. Keeps people alive pretty long, but his mobility is the only thing that's pretty much holding him back at this point in the game. Up next, we got Cloak and Dagger. Um, just a loser overall. At season 1.5, I believe it was when she had a stock for ult. That's when she was just at her prime, just one of the best, if not the best strategists in the game. The ult doesn't stack anymore. The healing on Cloak has gotten a little bit weaker. I think it does more direct heals, but the AoE heals on it has gone down. And obviously Magneto is in the meta and he hard counters the ult. But with that being said, you still have cloak invulnerability, you still have auto aim on all two of your characters, you still have a bubble, you still can do extra damage, you could blind people. Let's not mistake this for still a good character. Although no longer S tier, still a good character, still in B tier. That is Cloak and Dagger. Next we have Sue Storm, the Invisible Woman. One of the best healers in the game, top 3 in my opinion. You have a R2 ability that passes through the teammates, damages enemies, and it comes back like a boomerang, so just double that. You have a shield that also heals enemies. I mean, not heals enemies, heals allies. You have a push and pull, which is great for tech. You could push people off of the map, even when they're in their ultimates. You could pull people in, so to deal bigger damage. Displacement is a really good tool in this game. Her ultimate, just a wide circle of invulnerability, and you guys are invisible. If anyone comes in, they're slowed down or they are invisible to their team. Psionic Vortex, you could use it to disrupt flyers or just put it in an area to get people that's diving you or people off of a specific point. You just deal that continuous damage. Uh, yeah, just all in all, a really great healer. Top 3 in my opinion, S tier character. Next up, we got Jeff the Land Shark. There's two sides to the faction. There's people who think he's completely useless, he has no use, and there's people who swear by DPS Jeff. I personally am not in either of those groups. I think Jeff is just like a solid character. You could play him as DPS Jeff. He also does okay healing. It's not the best in the world. It's ultimate. It really depends on how good the enemy team is. And he has the best survivability in the game. So he has something going for him. He always has that. Normally, if I'm getting dived too hard by a Spiderman, I would switch to Jeff or Rocket Raccoon. But I personally now just go Rocket because Rocket is just that much better. But I'd say Jeff is below average. He needs some kind of buff to be up there. But he isn't like, just trash, complete useless, like never pick Jeff. Now, my main for the last 2 seasons, none other than Loki, bro. From the beginning of time, I stood by Loki. I swore he was the best, even when people were putting him in C and beta and stuff. Yeah, that was a time. Early Rivals tier list was a thing. But you look at Loki, he has invisibility. He does big damage because when you have triple clone setup, you do 90 damage a hit. You could do 120 HP per heal. You have a domain that just instantly heals up everybody, blocks any ultimate, any kind of offensive ultimate. Um, yeah, you could just teleport with your snap, and he has the best ultimate in the game by proxy, just having every ultimate in the game. Loki, just S tier healer, no questions about it. The best healer in the game, in my opinion. Now moving on to the contender for the best healer throne, we have Luna Snow. When we're talking about heal bottom, just dealing out raw heal numbers, Luna Snow is second to none. She's the best. I mean, maybe Cloak and Dagger, but Luna Snow is the best. Because how her projectiles works, she's a pretty much hit scan, so she also is a good way to deal with flyers that are going to become more meta, but we will get into that. But you have a guard that you could put on your flankers, all your flyers, people that you don't normally have in your eye shot. So when you heal your tanks or the people in front of you, you also heal them. She has the pierce and clap that does damage and that heals. She has a freeze against dive, and she has one of the best mobility of any healer. So when you die, you can get back to the point quick as possible. And the ultimate, 12 seconds in invulnerability. And if you want, 40% damage boost. And it's mobile. It's just crazy. Luna Snow, this is the trinity of the best healers in the game, in my opinion, right here. These are the three best healers in the game. Now Mantis. Back in Season 0 days, this was the clear-cut best hero in the game, but as the game has evolved into a more fast-paced, just brawl until one member of the opponent team dies, then that's who wins the fight kind of game. Mantis has fallen off because she just can't keep up with the raw healing that, like, for example, these three just do. It's just overtime healing, you only have so much orbs, but she does do big damage. Problem is, she's a support, not a DPS. And what people expect from their supports is big heal numbers, quick heals, large heals amount. And don't get me wrong, Mantis is good. She has a pretty good healing ult. It's like the watered down version of Luna Snow. She has a stun. She can sleep people. She can give you guys damage boosts, but it's just not enough to put her over the edge into that S tier with the greatest healers in this game. And yeah, this is where Mantis ends up. Now, potentially the biggest winner of Season 2. In my opinion, the biggest winner of Season 2, actually, Rocket Raccoon. When you look at Rocket Raccoon, he brings people back to life. He has a minigun, so you can chew down tanks if the opportunity presents itself. And he gives his team a damage boost. And he has great mobility. He can run on walls. He has 2 dashes. When we look at Season 2 now, they kind of build upon it. Obviously, they made his movement just a little bit weaker, but it's still the second best out of any healer in the game. And then you now have healing abilities in your ult. That was the only thing he was missing, and they decided to give him that and more. So what they also did for Rocket is Rocket does burst healing now. So he used to have the same problem as Mantis, where he just give you guys big healing over time, but when you hit directly with those orb, you just immediately do 55% healing, plus the healing that the orbs ever was doing. So now you combine that with a character who just brings you back with just one of his abilities. Rocket is just an S tier healer, and bro, he's arguably better than Invisible Woman in my opinion. You could argue that. I don't know if I would say he's better, but Rocket, Raccoon, S tier, which is crazy. It's a crazy thing to say. So now this is all the healers. These are all 8 strategists in the game. I'm just going to organize these right quick for you guys to see. And yeah. So yeah, this is how the healer situation is right now on Marvel Rivals, which is pretty good in my opinion. You have literally half of the healers in the game as S tier characters, and you have another in A tier, and the other 2 in B tier. Like, the worst healer in the game is a C tier character, and even then most people argue Jeff up in B. So Marvel Rivals is doing a great job with the healers. We'll see how this go when Ultron come out, but let's get into the next set. When you look at Black Panther, you have a character who can immediately just wipe people straight off the map. 2 javelins, 2 dashes, they're gone, they're dead, and he just gets in and out of there. You hardly know he's even there unless someone tells you, or you're the one being dove. But when we look at this kit, we, like I was saying, alluding to earlier, we have stronger anti-dive now in this game, and I think his situation is only going to get worse as time goes on, unless they update Black Panther. You have like it's a good ult. It's like utility ult, but it doesn't really do anything big. And the game plan is pretty predictable. You know, you just dive in, javel javel, get out there. He doesn't do nothing else, but he does that really well, so that keeps him in B tier. But I don't see a world where he's just higher than this anymore. Now we have Black Widow. This is a character that, as you guys can see, where I'm already gonna put her. So let's just save face and save time. In Marvel Rivals, I don't think she has a place in this game, to be honest. The game is so fast paced, everything's happening so quickly that when you have a sniper in this game, they have to be able to shoot really quickly in the case of Hela, who also still does it in 2 shots, or just be able to one-shot people in the case of Hawkeye. But if we make Black Widow a one-shot character, then she'd probably just be annoying or pretty broken. So this is a character that just needs a full-on rework. You know, you have a giant scope, you're limiting your view, you have to zoom in, you have to aim, you hit the headshot. Like, let's just say you actually get a headshot. The character still doesn't die because they immediately get healed up because of how fast paced the game is. The ultimate, she's a DPS. Most DPS ults wipe teams or immediately kill people. Hers can't even do that. Like, why play Black Widow when you could play literally anything else in this game? After. Now we have Hawkeye. So this is a character that could one-shot in this game, and you will see the difference where that lands him on this tier list here. Before, Hawkeye was S tier, but now people dive him a lot harder because they know how potent he is. But he has some decent anti-dive tools. You know, he has the sword, he has the jump, but that's rarely ever enough to save him from a really committed diver. But because of his ability to just straight up one-shot someone, he's always going to be in at least like B tier and above. I think he sits at A tier right now because they buff his ultimate to where he shoots those arrows pretty quick. Before it was like, oh, Hawkeye popped the ult, let's get behind cover. Now it's like, Hawkeye popped the ult, let's get behind cover. But 1 to 2 to maybe even 3 your teammates have already died. Hawkeye is in a really good place. I don't think he needs to change much. A tier character. Hela, let's just save time here. Hela's S tier character. You could 2-shot headshot anyone from any range now. The drop off doesn't matter. They made her bird longer, the cooldown on it longer, but let's be real. If you dive a Hela, she gets 1-2 shots on you. She birds away, gets another 1-2 shots. You're either dead or you have to retreat. And they also lowered the cooldown of a stun ball. So she has that in trade for the bird. Really strong ultimate. Really strong character. And she still has a decent team up. She teams up with Loki, bro. Another S tier character that she could just revive. S tier. So next up we have Human Torch, right? This is a character I haven't played since his initial release because I was like, you know, it's just wonky. Everything on it sucks. And I seen update after update come out, and I still was going to just throw him in like D tier or maybe even C tier or something, right? But bro, I played some of him before I made this list just to be informed. And hear me out. Human Torch is S tier, bro. You have crazy damage because, like, I believe once you hit your fire cluster, it does 96 damage. If you get a headshot, 198 damage, right? Crazy. And you still have the traditional gameplay style. Nothing about his gameplay changed. It's just the tweaking of his fire clusters is such a big difference for this character, bro. I know it's crazy to say that he goes from C tier to like S tier, but if you guys don't believe me, just play some Human Torch for a bit. You will see the big difference. He deletes people. He has the area locked down. He's playing like everyone thought he would play when all of the trailers and all the gameplay first come out. Human Torch, S tier, at the very least probably high A tier. So now we have Ironfist, right? This is a character that received a pretty big rework, I believe, going into season 1.5. They cut like all of his damage numbers in half, and give him like some tank busting capabilities. Like they give him percentage based damage, and initially people thought that he sucked because he wasn't like the best tank buster. He wasn't a Wolverine, but don't let that fool you. Iron Fist still does the same thing. Go in the back line, wreak havoc, but it's like, alright, now he does that a little bit worse, but he still does that really well. And now he's a tank buster, so you could do that and then just float to the front line and finish off the tanks. Iron Fist is an A tier character. I don't know, this might be a hot take, But when you look at his survivability, he has a kick that gets him out of there. He has 3 jumps. He literally heals himself. You don't have to worry about your healers. You don't have to rely on your healers. And he could block every damage. And his ult still is crazy strong. Yeah, A tier. Now, a character that I was high on after the numerous buffs was Iron Man. Don't get me wrong, Iron Man is now a more standalone character. He doesn't have to rely on the Hulk team up as much. Obviously, it is good to have it because it is a damage boost. He is just better with it objectively. But he stands on his own a little bit more now. And what I think that they went wrong with is with the overdrive, the health that he gets, the entire animation has to finish before he gets the health. I think if you pop it and get the health at the same time, you could use it as a survivability tool. That would probably make his viability go up. I mean, his blast does a little bit more damage. Well, not a little bit more damage. It's just easier to do more damage with it. And the unit beam still is strong. He goes to 350, so he could beam most people out of it. But it's just not enough. Iron Man just needs a little bit something extra to throw him over the edge there. So we're just gonna stick him in C tier, just slightly below average. Magik. So yeah, there's not much to say about Magik that hasn't already been said. She dives the back line really good. She also could play on the front line a little bit. She has pretty huge invulnerability frames with her portals. She gets health back every time she does damage. Only thing is the ult. It's like a 50-50 what you're gonna get with the ult. Sometimes you could go in and just kill the Lunar Snow out of a healing ult, for example. Other times you go in there and you just immediately die. So normally I would put her up here. I would. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave Magik 8 here. Just a solid character overall. Doesn't do too much. Doesn't do too little. I don't know if I should put her in B tier though. We'll see. We'll come back to Magik. I'm just gonna leave her right here in B tier for now. Moon Knight, another big winner in season 2. Faster projectiles, so you could hit flyers now. And as you see, I have Human Torch and S tier, so flyers are more meta now. You'll start to see them more often, so that's a big jump. His startup for his grapple is a lot quicker. His ult is reworked. I believe it's a little bit better than it was before, but it's not as good as it was in season 1.5 at the beginning. No, at the beginning of season 1. And its boomerang gives him health. All these are really good additions to Moon Knight. But the problem is when it comes to him defending himself, him playing 1v1, the minute someone says, okay, I'm going to kill Moon Knight dies. You just can't defend yourself. You're just defenseless. That's the only problem. Now, if you could just sit somewhere safe where no one could reach you, Moon Knight would go up a tail. But sadly, that's not the case. So Moon Knight is a C-Tech character. Namor. Alright, so now this is the thing. These are my thoughts on Namor. Everyone's freaking out over the Gamma Squid. It's like, oh, it does so much damage. It's a big deal. And it does big damage. And it shreds through tanks. Don't get me wrong. But I think the Lunar Snow Squid was better. One, because more people know how to play Lunar Snow than Hulk. So you, by proxy, was getting your team up more often. But outside of that, I think the team up itself just was better because the squid slowing down people, like when a Black Panther, a Ironfist, a Magik, any of those guys flank into your back line, they just become so killable once hit by the frozen squid because it slows them down so much that I don't think the extra damage is better than, just slowing them down because they died anyway. But don't get me wrong, still S tier hero. Just like the best anti-dive in the game. You just can't go wrong with it. Must have. Namor is a must have on any team. Psylocke. So just take everything I said about Magik and amplify that, honestly. She kills the back line better than Magik. She could play on the front line more safer than Magik because she could hang behind the tanks and just shoot up front. But I'm going to put it in A tier. Now you may be saying, if she's that much better than Magik, and I almost put Magik in A tier, why isn't Psylocke in S tier? Psylocke is the perfect DPS, right? Only thing, Loki just hard counters her. And I'm not talking hard counters and oh yeah, if you're better you could play around it. It's near impossible for Psylocke to just play better than the Loki. You do your ultimate, Loki puts down clones. so you're just like not killing anyone really. Uh, he used a rune. You just not killing anyone. It's just like Loki just makes your life a living hell as a Psylocke, and I think that's what holds her back from being S tier and puts her down in A tier because she just gets hard counter by one of the most played supports in the game. Now we have Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch has an insane team up. Probably the best DPS team up in the game, honestly. She does crazy damage, melts through tanks. You guys have to respect Scarlet Witch now. If Scarlet Witch is on the front line dealing damage, you die. That's just what it is. Only problem is though, the team up is with Doctor Strange. Now if this was season 1.5, season 1, season 0, that would probably put it in A tier. You know, not S tier, but A tier. But because Doctor Strange himself has fallen off so hard, spoiler alert, I think that holds it back a little bit because there are just two other tanks that you just want to play more than Doctor Strange. I know we'll get to him. That's a bit of a spoiler, but Scarlet Witch is B tier. She's good. Doctor Strange is still pretty good. Don't get me wrong. So the team up is still viable. So Spiderman. So this is a character that I always have a hard time ranking because bad Spider-Man's D and F tier. I know it's like, alright, any bad hero is like a D or F tier, but Spider-Man's could really be bad a lot of the times. Sometimes you have average Spider-Man that's just like, oh, he's like CB tier. And then you have godly Spider-Man that's just like, alright, this is the best character in the game. Let's just nerf him into the ground. So I'd just be going based off, these are people that like are really good with the hero. I feel like that's fair enough because that's kind of the criteria I go on with all these heroes. And bro, to be real with you, Spider-Man is an A tier character. Like I know people were putting him down in C tiers and stuff and below beforehand, but let's just call a spade a spade. Quick, he's just like Black Panther. Quick, he gets in and out. He does big damage. He hard counters flyers, and he just makes your support's life a living hell. Do not buff this guy because he's in a place that if Spider-Man gets one major buff, that's like it. It's wraps. The game is broken. It's destroyed. I think he's in an okay place. Maybe just a little bit, like a slight nerf, but not A tier for Spider-Man. Squirrel Girl. Please nerf her. I'm not joking. But Squirrel Girl is like the most annoying character in the game right now. It's just so low effort, bro. You just sit in the back line and just hold R2 or what left click on PC. You just shoot, and then eventually one of your unlucky healers, the nut would just bounce off a wall or just hit them direct, and they die. And thing is with Squirrel Girl, she's always gonna have the most damage in the game. Some people say that she's feeding ult charge, but like she definitely gives crazy good suppression fire. That's what Squirrel Girl does. Doesn't do more than that because she can't really confirm a kill. She just aids in the killing, if that makes sense. So I'd say she's like below average. She helps, but she isn't like the main thing. You still need your team to be able to confirm those kills. Now we have Starlord. Um, Still a strong DPS. He received a nerf that is rapid fire in all directions. It has like a pretty decent damage fall off now. But when you look at him, he's still a character that has invulnerability when he flips. He has a gun, so you could just play whatever way he wants to play. If you want to play with flanker Starlord, you could do that. If you want to bring up the front line with your team with Starlord, you could do that. It's kind of like Psylocke where you could play every single position. And his ultimate is better than Psylocke's, right? I don't know if he himself is better than Psylocke, because Psylocke is probably the most efficient at killing. But with a crazy ultimate, with a pretty solid kit, Starlord is A tier. I don't know if I call him S tier, but he definitely is A tier for Starlord. Now we have Storm. The usage rate for Storm has fallen off of a cliff. You see Storm practically nowhere anymore. And you would think that, alright, maybe the Stormians have gone over to playing Human Torch, but you hardly ever see Human Torch either. For some reason, people don't want to play Flyers anymore right now, which is good, thank goodness, because I hate playing against them because my team never shoots them. But Don't get me wrong. Storm still is A tier, bro. She buffs your teammates. She does pretty good damage herself. And now with Human Torch being S tier, I kind of almost want to put her in S tier. But I don't think that she herself is that good. So it's like, you're going to get a crazy strong team up, though. So I don't know. Do I want to put her off here? Nah, I'm just going to leave her right here. Really good. She still is really good. Really strong ultimate. Really strong character. Yeah, A tier for Storm. The Punisher. This is the anti-flyer character. At least that's what he was made to be. But to be honest, Hela just does that job better. Punisher is a really good job if you don't have the best aim though. And he has a turret that does pretty big damage. You have to get that out of the way immediately. So when it comes to holding down points and hunkering down, Punisher also does that pretty well. He doesn't do anything bad. He doesn't do anything great. Punisher always is just like middle of the row. And for that, I'm going to put him in C tier. I know C tier says below average, but like, if you're an average character in this game, you're below average because all the characters in this game are pretty good. You know, they do pretty, like, things pretty crazy. Punisher is just pretty solid. You know what you're going to get. Strong ultimate, decent character. He might go up a tier when Ultron comes out and we have just more aerial threats. But right now, Punisher is a C tier character. Now, Bucky has gotten several nerfs. Thank goodness, right? Let the community rejoice. So, Bucky has seen a reduction in his ultimate. I believe it, yeah, his ultimate does less damage. And the health bar, where like you would die if your health reached that level, is being reduced. So, he has to do more damage after popping the ult to confirm the kill to go into the next ult. And the biggest one, in my opinion, he lost his team up with Rocket, so he doesn't have that rapid fire gun that helps him build that ultimate insanely quick and confirm kills. Now, and his grapple went from 8 seconds to 12 seconds, so he has to be a little bit more cautious with that. He isn't as good as he was with anti-dive. But I say all that to say that Bucky still is an S tier character, don't get me wrong. He just was that good before, to the point that he still is an S tier character after like 5 buffs that I called off. That would make any other S tier character go down to C or D tier probably. Yeah, S tier for Bucky. Wolverine. So they changed up quite a bit with Wolverine. They cut his lunge rage meter in half. They reduced his claw strike from 15 to 10. And I believe they brought up his normal melee from 5 to 10 rage meter build. So all in all, what they did to Wolverine, they reworked him to play more on the front line, which is a huge mistake because Wolverine's survivability, as I have preached before, is always not the best for how direct his job has to be on the front line. That being said, we can make Wolverine a Vanguard. You know, I'm still preaching that. Or we could just give him his regeneration. Because as of this day, in Season 2 still, Wolverine still does not have an anchor bonus. Maybe they're working on a regen, and that's probably why it's still saying coming soon after it's been there for like weeks on end, months, like almost 2 months now. But I think all in all, he still is good. He still has his uses. But with Invisible Woman in the game, with the next character that we'll get to at the end, his job is just that much harder. You know, but he still does his job good. He's the best at what he does. Now, you 5 Mr. Fantastic means out there, no need to worry. I just forgot to put him in with the alphabetical order, guys. So, yeah, he has recently got rebuffed. You know, they fixed his ultimate the way he pops it immediately, gets his health back. I believe they buffed all of his damage numbers on all of his melees by like 5. And I think that they like went back on the cooldown increase on his back shots. So when you look at Mr. Fantastic, he still has one of the best survivabilities in the game. He's like top 3 in my opinion. He does okay damage, but he just like, you know, it's just like like that's the word I want to use for Mr. Fantastic. He doesn't really do anything too crazy. He doesn't really kill that well. He isn't that much of a wall. He just survives and he assists. That's what he does. You know, he just helps the process, but he's never going to be the main contributor. Now, sometimes they get MVP, but, you know, C tier. So this is where all the DPS stand. I'm now going to reorganize these guys from left to right in their own tiers and let you guys take a look at that before we move on to the tanks. So yeah, this is where I think all the tanks sit right as of right now in relations to one another, which is this is a fair spread. I think, you have a decent amount in C, B, A, S. We still don't have any D tier characters yet, and you have Black Widow all the way down there. But yeah, let's move on into the tanks. So Captain America, right? For one, he lost his team up. He lost his team up that he had with Thor, right? Which was stronger than the team up that he currently has with Bucky. To be honest, the team up what he has with Bucky it's nothing to talk about. It's just there, it's just like, all right, Bucky is a good character. People are gonna play him anyway. We're definitely not playing these two guys for the team up, right? Um, but with all anchor bonuses for tanks, they only get health. They did something different with Captain America. They gave him 100 health and 5% damage, which is a good idea and a great place to start. I personally, though, would have given him 10% damage because the 5% damage takes his attacks from like 40 to 42. 10% would have taken that from like 40 to 44, 45, right? Which is because there still is the problem with Captain America that his damage just is, you still could ignore him a bit. I feel like if you give him 10%, he'd be more of a threat where you actually have to pay attention to him now. But the game still is in a good and a healthy place because you don't want Captain America to be doing too much damage because he is, like I said, with Reed Richards, as Reed is one of the top 3 best survivabilities, Cap is one of the next parts of that. Oh boy, now if we are talking about how the mighty have fallen, we have Doctor Strange. Um, Doctor Strange used to just be a DPS hidden behind an 800 shield and 650 health. That was the truth. Um, and they rectified it. That's honestly what they did. Now, don't get me wrong, he went from the definitive best tank in the game to still a pretty, a good tank. You still have the best shield in the game, still have one of the best abilities in the game with a portal, and you still have one of the best ultimates for a tank. Only thing is, you just can't destroy people as you have before. But I don't know if I'm gonna put him in A tier because I see some people put him down in B tier, some people put him down in C tier, honestly. But I think he still has a place in the game. The only problem with that is though, is there are just there's a new tank in the game, and spoiler alert, she is better than him. So I'm gonna put Doctor Strange low A tier, maybe high B tier. Now we have our boy Groot, and yeah, it's a 4-draw conclusion against everyone that Groot is the best tank in the game. Groot is an S tier tank. When you're talking about the ability to wall off healers from healing the team, their teammates putting on walls to just do that extra damage. Groot primary fire does 70 damage per hit, which probably is like one of the highest primary fires in the game. You have a bomb that does a second set of damage after it's thrown down. You have 850 health. You place your iron wall in a good spot, you could get that up into 1,000 and something. If you're playing Convoy Convergence, I don't think there's a single better character in the game than Groot. And yeah, S tier. I don't know if he needs a nerf. That's the thing though. I think he's like a healthy S tier. I think Groot is a healthy S tier character, but maybe just a slight nerf. But yeah. So now Hulk. They took his Doctor Strange away from the team up, and they made Doctor Strange expulsion of Magik weaker. So Doctor Strange probably would have needed Hulk more than Hulk needed Doctor Strange, funny enough this time around. But they did give Hulk a team up with Namor, which is a meta character as you guys see. He's chilling right up in there in S tier. Now most people will put Hulk in S tier because of that. The character himself still is like, there's still a little bit to be desired there. They buffed his movement speed and his jump, so he moves around a lot better. But I think Hulk just needs to hit harder. Like, Reed Richards literally hits harder than Hulk right now at this point in the game. But don't mistake that, though, because Hulk enables a lot of strong team-ups. Hulk himself is a pretty decent character. His ultimate is lackluster, and his actual attack power is lackluster, which is funny because this is the Incredible Hulk. Still a A-tier character, though. Magneto. Oh, man. This is a character that I sung the praises of and since the game came out, honestly. He lost his team up with Scarlet Witch, right? And the team up with Scarlet Witch is better than the one with Emma Frost. Don't let the newness of it fool you. But Emma Frost is a more meta relevant and a more likely pick than Scarlet Witch. So Doctor Magneto has his team up more often, but it's a weaker team up. The sword was way better, no questions about it. But if you look at a character that counters like healing ults, he could bubble teammates who are out of position. He still has a shield, and he's bulky. Only thing with not Doctor Strange. Only thing with Magneto is he doesn't have any kind of movement, and his damage is like you gotta really know what you're doing to be effective with Magneto to get that big damage. But he still is the best solo tank in the game, so that counts for something. Gonna put him in S tier. Oh, Penny Means out there. I honestly thought you guys are gonna be eating so good after the update. You know, she got 100 health. She does critical headshot damage now. She moves faster while shooting. But that didn't change anything, honestly. You know, it didn't, at least not noticeable. Definitely not enough to change tiers. She still struggles from the fact that she can't move out of a nest, and she just has to sit there and eat damage point blank in the face. The 100 health just makes that process just a tad bit longer. But you know, with a lot of the tanks that don't have a shield, they at least have mobility, which Penny does have, but she has to stay to her nest. Like that's where she's strong. And unfortunately, I think that puts her down in C tier. And yeah, I don't know what to say, guys. I'm just sorry. Penny is a C tier character. Now the thing. Uh, when you talk about a straightforward game plan, the thing, I think he is like one of the most straightforward characters in the game. Run into the back line, punch, punch, punch. Ooh, I'm gonna die. Jump back to your team. Run into your opponent back line. Punch, punch, punch. Gonna die. Jump back into the team. It's clobbering time. Kill the supports. Yeah, good job. You did your thing. Is the thing. When you look at a character that he has a good setup ultimate for a tank, and it does decent damage. He has a little bit of range with his punch. He could jump back, take a damage reduction. He could run and then stun. He cuts off ultimates for a bit, so he really destroys Black Panther and a lot of other dives too. The thing is an A tier character. He doesn't do anything too good though, like anything out of the ordinary to be S tier. But what he does well, and that earns him that A tier spot. Now we have Thor. So when we look at Vanguards coming into the season, literally all of them got some kind of touch up, right? Which Thor did get. He got a movement speed increase, and he got 75 plus health, but he lost his team up anchor, so you know, which was 100 plus health. So really, he lost 25% health, but he still got the movement speed. Thing is with Thor is like they're better beat 'em up tanks in the game. You know, if I want to go in the backline and beat on healers, I pick Hulk. I pick Thor. You know, they just do that job better. All in all, he still is good. He's still good, you know, all his moves regenerate his health. His ultimate is okay, you know, but he's definitely not on the tier of these two guys, you know. He's one of the weaker punch tanks in the game. Now, speaking of every tank in the game getting something, Venom was the only one left out of this. Groot, he didn't need anything because he was the best. So, yeah, Groot is the exception. His ultimate got reduced. Strange got weaker. Thor got buff. I don't think the Thing get anything. But Cap got buff. Thor got buffed. Venom didn't get anything. To finish off the Holy Trinity is survivability. You know, like I said, Reed Richards, Captain America, and lastly Venom. And he does that better than any of them. You could swing around, re-dive in to just, you know, build up your cooldowns. He literally regenerates his health up to like, I believe 800 up a pop you could get. And he forces you to pay attention. You can't really ignore him like Captain America. And you now have to combo with his ult that could kill squishies. So Venom is a B tier tank though. He still isn't up here with these guys. But and that's solely because his headshots are just a little wonky to hit. You have to really, really be good at what you're doing and really honed in and focus on to get those headshots. But I think like if his headshots was to, be a little bit easier to hit, you could see a Venom meta. Now Emma Frost. I'm gonna try to keep this as quick as possible because this game has like almost 40 characters now, right? Let's start off with the cons. Cons for Emma Frost, right? I think the beam just needs a little bit more range because it's 15 meters, which used to be the distance that Groot could have placed his walls. But Groot got a buff where his walls went to 18 meters, so I think we should do the same for Emma. Just give an extra 3 meters on her beam. Another thing is when she goes diamond mode, she turns into a melee character, right? Don't get me wrong, her diamond mode is strong, but all melee tanks in this game have a form of mobility, right? Hulk, The Thing, Thor, Captain America, Venom. Peni is a bunker tank and she has better mobility. So that's what I would say with Emma. Her range on the primary fire just needs a little bit increase because you have to get a little bit out of position to really be doing damage on it unless the fight is just straight up in everyone's face. And when she goes diamond, she's a melee character. So if she misses and overextends to actually hit someone, she doesn't have a way to get back. So just give it that mobility to really cover over that. It doesn't have to be anything really strong. It doesn't have to be anything really big. Now the pros. She can do double damage with a primary fire because she can take people's psionic soul out. And when you crush that, you get a damage bonus. When that psionic beam charges up to 100%, I believe you could delete people faster than any other tank in this game. I think no other tank, Groot included, does bigger damage than Emma Frost with the beam at 100%. In her diamond mode, as I was alluding to earlier with all these dive characters, you counter literally every single dive character. Spiderman, Ironfist, Black Panther, Magik. Just the stun, when you grab them, you immediately stun them. So your team could just fire upon them while you're doing that. And if somehow they don't die, they get slammed. Then after they get slammed, you do a kick. That does big damage. And if somehow they still aren't dead, if you kick them into a wall, that confirms it every time. She is like the best anti-dive tank in this game right now. It used to be The Thing, but I would now say it's Emma Frost. And her shield, I saved this for last because I think this is the most interesting part of her kit. Let's look at the shield tanks in the game, right? We have Doctor Strange and we have Magneto. Both of these guys, when they hold up their shield, they cannot do nothing else. They are shielding currently. Emma Frost doesn't have that problem. Emma Frost puts her shield down and continues and goes on about her business, similar to Groot. Groot puts the walls down and finish attacks. Emma can put the wall down and just finish deal damage whichever way she pleases, right? And the range on it to where you could place it is pretty far. I believe you could do that up to like 50 meters or more. And when she's coming back to a point, if she is far behind and the people are dying and they're getting pretty low, you could push that shield all the way out and give yourself a little bit extra time and your teammates a little bit extra time to either get heals or for you to get in position to tank some of that damage, which is big. And this is how I use it, right? Obviously, it's not like Groot walls because you can just walk in and out of it through it, right? But when someone is pushing up, because the shield is clear, they very rarely realize when you put the shield behind them. And what that does is that causes the healers to have to reposition to heal that character or to come up through that shield and come further into the front line to where you can then snatch them and just, do your one-shot combo and kill them. So she could kind of play like Groot, not as good because you could pass through it as I said before. But just that ability to change that game plan ever so slightly is pretty big. Her ultimate. I believe she has the best solo ultimate for any tank in this game. Because whilst it is a setup, you could put everyone in it to open it up for big damage for a next ult to follow up with. That's like what all the tanks ultimates do. I lie, Magneto is the best because, he stops healers, but she's a close second. That could kill people, bro. You could put that on someone, kill the healers, turn around, like complete 180 to someone who hasn't been hit with the ultimate again, and then take full mind control of them. It's not going to kill them, but they're still going to be walking to you by the time it's finished, and you have a chance to just kill them herself because she excels at, killing people. All in all, Emma Frost is a great hero in this game. And I think we have one fallen hero in Doctor Strange, and we have a new one to arise in Emma Frost. Emma Frost is a top 3 Vanguard in this game. You heard it first, S tier. Now, let me just organize these tanks so you guys can get a little idea on where I think each of these guys fit. So yeah, this is just a look at where I think all the tanks sit in relation to each other. Healthy spread. We have 3 in S tier, 3 in A tier, 3 in B tier. And now finally, before the end of this video, I'm just gonna organize all these characters. We're just gonna mix it all up to where we think they truly begin, and that'd just be the final look and my final thoughts and views on this tier list. Be back with you guys right after that. Alright, this is the final review of the tier list. I didn't move anybody through the tiers with the exception of Thor. I moved him right from B tier down to C tier because when I was thinking about it, Thor is not on the level of these characters here. And I believe I switched around to DPS. Yes, I put Squirrel Girl ahead of Moon Knight and Ironman, just because that when someone dies, she could do big damage and get a kill every now and then. And yeah, so I know the main complaint is probably gonna come from the C tier list. Just ask yourself, if they're a tank here, like Thor and Peni, which tanks are they better than above them? DPS, Mr. Fantastic, Punisher, Squirrel Girl, Iron Man, Moon Knight, which DPS above them are they better than? Jeff, same thing. Which healers above him are they better than? And yeah, that's that. Obviously we're gonna update this going further into the season, and then we're gonna have another one when Ultron comes out. But these are my final thoughts right now, with 1 week playing, 1 week into the game and playing. If you guys liked the video, be sure to comment and subscribe. If you guys hated the video, hate this tier list, let me know down in the comments. We could go back and forth. I always try to, stay on top of them and be interactive with that. But that out of the way, see you guys next time.